Bananas. Bananas is a code word. Whenever a deal is done with one of my clients, they call me on the phone and they say the word bananas and then they hang up. I did not hear the word bananas tonight. So you tell me who died.
Well, your contacts was cops, Doc.
I know. They were my cops.
Yeah, well, they fired first. And I'm not gonna take a bullet for you and nobody else in this motherfucker.
Is that true? They fired first?
Yeah.
Hey, Adrenalheads, I'm Mark.
And I'm Pake.
And this week we got Pake for Run for Your Lives, and he and I are going to be covering the movie Baby Driver.
Yes.
This was Pake's pick, and I think this is a really good pick.
Yeah, those who know me know I am just obsessed with Edgar Wright and all of his filmography, everything he's directed and worked on. But yeah, this one is just... It's a special movie. I could jump forward into my general thoughts with stuff, but before we get to that, but yeah. It's man, I'm happy to be on and talk about it for sure.
This one's very action packed. I love the whole car chases, everything that's involved with the stunt work within the cars, and just the action within too, with interactions with people. I thought that was amazing. This movie is fairly new. It's from 2017. Mm-hmm. So if you guys have not watched Baby Driver, go back out there and watch it.
Yeah. This is Edgar Wright's most recent movie, other than this one that's coming out later this year. I think this was like the last one that he did.
Yeah. And it's fun, filled with action and music too, which is amazing. We're going to go deeper dives within that. So, well, you like doing this fun Run for Your Lives, so I'm going to ask you to read out the synopsis.
All right. I get to do my synopsis job. All right. I'm down. All right. So Baby, a music-loving orphan who also happens to be a prodigiously talented go-to getaway driver for heist mastermind Doc. With the perfect soundtrack picked out for each and every job, Baby ensures Doc's violent bank-robbing cronies, including Buddy, Bats, and Darling, get in and out of Dodge before it's too late. He's not in it for the long haul, though, hoping to nail one last job before riding off into the sunset with beautiful diner waitress Deborah. Easier said than done. Yeah.
Yeah. Easier said than done, definitely.
For sure. Couple of roadblocks.
Yes. I would
he can
say
swerve that car around them.
Oh, yeah, he can. And with that, we move into people we may know within the film and where we've seen them elsewhere. Yeah. So,
it's got a great cast.
Yeah.
Just solid.
You could start us off, if you like.
All right. We'll start off with Baby himself, Ansel Elgort, who you've seen him in Carrie 2013. He played Caleb in the Divergent series starting in 2014, going through to 2016 with Allegiant. And he can be seen soon with the new version of West Side Story coming out this year that is still in production.
And next up we have John Hamm, mostly known from the TV show Mad Men that came out in 2007, but started his career on Ally McBeal as the gorgeous guy at the bar. John has carved a great career with his looks, his good looks, I should say, and his demeanor as an actor, and he created a lot of characters within mostly TV and some film. Another character you will remember him from is an episode that I like that came from Black Mirror, which you have covered, I think.
Yes, we covered Black Mirror on Strange Indeed because it was my pick because it is my favorite Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, and it's called Black Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed that episode too.
Yeah, he's incredible.
And next up.
And then next we have John Bernthal. And we all remember him as Shane from The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
But also made his break into TV in a show called The Class in 2006 as the lead character. Mm-hmm. He's been on other shows like Law & Order, Criminal Intent, CSI Miami, and How I Met Your Mother. And he can also be seen in movies like World Trade Center, Night at the Museum, Battle for the Smithsonian, Grudge Match from 2013, Fury from 2014, as well as the TV series on Netflix, The Punisher, where he is Frank Castle, the Punisher himself.
Yes. And something that Steve and I started Panels to Pixels with when we started covering Punisher. So that was the show that we started Panels to Pixels with.
Yes.
And that's what drove me into podcasting.
Nice. It's a good start.
Yes.
Starting place.
Next up would be Eliza Gonzalez, and you maybe remember her from Dusk Till Dawn, the TV series that lasted from 2014 to 2016. Gem and the Holograms movie from 2015, which was not very good. Fast and the Furious, Hobbs and Shaw in 2019. That came out 2 years ago, fairly recently. And the most recent, Godzilla vs. Kong, which you covered on Run For Your Lives.
We did.
In 2021.
Then, of course, not going to gloss over it. We're not going to talk too deeply about things. We'll leave it at that. But yes,
guy.
Kevin Spacey is in this movie. Which, of course, Oscar. Has he ever win an Oscar? I know he's been nominated.
I know he's been
times,
nominated.
but,
I forgot if he won or not.
But yeah, Working Girl from 1988, 95's The Usual Suspects, 95's Seven, and it's Kevin Spacey. You've seen him.
Yeah, and on SNL too. He was a cast member at one point for SNL. All right, next up would be Lily James, and you might know her from Pride and Prejudice and Zombies in 2016. And Yesterday from 2019, which I really like. It was.
I'm a huge Beatles fan, so that movie was special.
The music itself, how it was represented, and the story itself was really cool. Highly recommend it. And she plays Deborah.
Yes. And then I had to throw in the nod because, Flea knows Eddie.
I wonder if that was something to remark towards him and his nose. If you look, because Flea's got a Roman nose, it just roams all over his face.
I haven't heard that one before. I like it. But yeah, Flea, he's done a few acting gigs, but not that much. He's popped up here and there.
Yeah.
A lot of one-off TV series appearances and stuff. But he's the bassist for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's where most people know him from. Mm-hmm. And one little fun fact is he did voice Donnie in the Wild Thornberrys animated series.
Oh, cool.
Which was mainly just that's pretty much what he did. So but he's there.
Wow. Yeah, he's there. Yeah, and he does make an impact in the movie, just like the next one, which would be Jamie Foxx, who we all know. He played in Soul in 2020, most recently. That was the Disney movie, the animated.
Yes. Yep.
Then we got Django Unchained in 2012. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 in 2014.
Yeah, that's right.
And he played Electro in that. A lot of people are not fans of that. I liked the Amazing Spider-Man series, but I thought he was pretty cool. I just did not like the gimmicks they gave him. They could have changed the character a bit, but I really enjoyed Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Law-Abiding Citizen in 2009. Ray, who we all know because he was really good on piano when he did Ray. I'm forgetting the year it came out, but there's so much more we could go into.
He's got a huge filmography.
If we go, I always say this, if we go down the list of a lot of these famous people, we'd be here forever. So we'll just move on right along into general thoughts of the movie. So, Pake, take it away, since this is your pick.
Yeah. Oh, I picked it because it is one of my absolute favorite movies. Like I said, I'll eat up anything Edgar Wright puts out. But, he's one of, if not my favorite director. So, he put so much thought and, every bit of the process of making a movie like this. There's so much planning and thought and precision and detail, and I love that so much. Especially with this one, which we will talk about it a lot in our favorite scenes, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, is
how much just every detail, the sounds, the movement, everything goes on beat with the soundtrack throughout the whole movie. It was almost like this thing was just a one long music video with the soundtrack that had dialogue and told a story and had lots of action and stuff too.
It worked with the scene itself and what it tried to represent, the feeling plus the synchronization, and I'll move on into that with my own personal thoughts and feelings about the movie. But carry on if you have any more.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, it's I think back kind of to on a early shout out to Wilhelm, my friend Ben over there, who's been on this podcast plenty of times. They opened up, his first episode was that movies that you just think are the most iconic or people need to see movies. And I don't, this one's pretty high on that list for me because it's one of those movies that I love to introduce to people. If they haven't heard of it or haven't seen it, it's just like, okay, you need to watch this, and I'm going to watch it with you because I need to like
just love watching it.
Yeah, it's just it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those movies you have to tell somebody to go see, and it was very, very popular. And my thoughts, literally, of this movie is I heard so much about it when it came out. I wasn't on my radar as far as like being an Edgar Wright movie or just I just heard the name and then I saw the trailers and I'm like, oh, I gotta go see this. I never got to the theater to go see it, but I did get it when it was on digital download, and I just watched the hell out of it, and I still do on occasion. But when I first saw the movie, I thought it was great with the synchronization, with the action and the music combined and how they work together. Yeah. Like literally it's like the beat of the movie, and you see that with Baby within it. And I just like the syncopation within it. It just works out. And plus the story itself is really good. So that attracts me even more because it has to have a story to it. Can't be nothing. Like there have been other car movies out there. It's like, you know, Death Race 2000, the remake or something that had no real story to it at times. Yeah, they give you a basis of it, but there's nothing really to grind at. You're not really looking at it. And, you know, other movies like Death Proof I really liked because it was out of sequence. But this one had a pure story, and then you got to learn about the character and where they're going from, like with Baby and how he starts off. I just enjoy that. Yeah, I just love the idea that he was a kid that was driven to do what was natural to him, whether it be music, because we see him attempting his own remixes, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And then loving to drive, because that's his thing. Driving with the music. So we get that.
I love, you know, I think as far as the music side of things, Ansel Elgort was such a great casting for that. I mean, he's classically trained, like ballet dancer and stuff too. So, I mean, like the choreography he has down, like he's good at moving in time with things. But then also just as a musician, like you don't really see it, like Baby's not a good singer. But Ansel Elgort is. I have like all of his songs that he's only released like 5 or 6 songs that are on Spotify and stuff, but they're all on my playlists and stuff. He's really good as a musician, so I really enjoy his music.
Cool.
But so yeah, I was like, okay, I see how this casting works so well in that way.
Yeah, and I just love the whole thing where the hearing helps him with his driving. He has, as we all know, tinnitus within the movie. Yeah. And it's really to buffer that out, but really to entertain himself. And every song has a meaning for every job. And he's got it timed out perfectly for what they're going to do. And I just love that aspect within the movie. So, and then at the very end, it's tragic where you get the one thing that happens to him. It really damages his hearing at the very end. Yeah. Yeah. But he has the girl.
Yeah. I don't know. They don't really pick up and talk about how like long lasting, like if that was a permanent thing that Buddy did to him, or if it did finally kind of go back. We don't know. I'm not an expert in like how his sound and hearing, you know, ears work with, if that would have permanently damaged him, or if he would have at least gone back to where he was before eventually in the 5 years he spent in prison. I don't know.
Or still get some hearing back, at least to enjoy some music while he's in there. Yeah. Otherwise, he's going to be talking sign language for a lot. Like his foster
knows, so
father.
That's good, at least.
He already knows, yeah. All right. Cool. Now we can move on to our favorite scenes in the movie.
Yeah. So many. It's like, do you have 12 hours for me to talk about all of the things that I liked?
We'll start with yours first. The first one.
All right. You said you did mention it, so I don't know if this should count because it's not really a specific scene. But like the through line of the tinnitus. Yeah, you said how he kind of copes with it with his music. But the very opening of the music, or the movie, as you're getting, you know, the studio logos and stuff before we even pop into the movie and the scene, it already starts with just a ringing sound.
That is true. Yeah,
you're starting the movie, going into
his mind,
his situation, his scenario, in his mind, where you're hearing that ringing, and then the music kind of picks up as he starts it in the car in that first scene, and it's so it drops you in, you know, the place of Baby, and you're right there with him from the beginning to the end of the movie, and I love that.
Well, with me, my first one would be the opening car chase and the introduction of what he is doing within the movie. So it just sets us up for the whole movie, literally. And our introduction to Baby is amazing, and I just love the song Bell Bottoms by the John Spencer's Blues Explosion. Perfect.
Bell Bottoms.
Yeah.
Bell Bottoms.
Perfect song for the scene and for what he's doing within it.
Yep.
Next one?
Oh, yeah. We can just go through, we're just going to go through the entire movie.
We're going to alternate.
Yeah. And then after that scene, it's funny that my next one picks up, after that big chase. And he's just going on that coffee run. And we get the Harlem Shuffle by Bob and Earl playing through that. And the words to the song popping up on walls and things as like graffiti or words on flyers on the telephone poles and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that was really cool. Like, you're getting this really visual, like I said, like a music video, lyric video aspect to it as he's going through that scene. And, there's people typing on their phones that's going in beat and syncopation with the music, the police sirens whooping with the beat of stuff, all these other sounds of the city falling right in line with everything. And it really sets you up for, like, this is what this movie is going to be. As you can find yourself just, like, bobbing along to the scenes and the dialogue. Like, it's really cool that way.
Well, it also adds texture to the song if you think about it. If you can talk about music, it's almost like if they use the movie as samples within the song.
Yeah, like there's just parts where like there's a song playing, but then you can also hear the bam, 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 bam of like a door ajar alarm going off, and you can just like that adds an extra layer of beat to the song and to the music, and it's man, this is cool.
That's the genius creativity that he has, Edgar Wright, and I really enjoy that, and I think that's they probably took a lot of time in editing and just trying to get that perfectly. And plus, they had to get we'll talk about this later on. They have to get approval from the music artist to get this all this music in there, and that's not cheap half the time.
No, not at all.
If they're a major artist, then you're shelling out thousands upon thousands of dollars. Now, if they're a starting newer group or an underground group, it could be reasonable, or they get a percentage or a cut from the movie for its use or its license.
And they did a good job of kind of bouncing back and forth. Or in some cases, the artists just appeared in the movie as extras and background actors, and that helped. But you said some of those, the final big thing that we'll get to later. I mean, but it's set to Queen. That's going to cost you a pretty penny.
Yeah. That happens a lot in a lot of movies, especially with Queen. So I'm pretty sure Edgar Wright, since he's British, he probably had a way in. All right. Next one for me would be, I just love Baby's jacket in the beginning of the movie. It stands to reason he uses this jacket for every job he does. Mm-hmm. You see him every job with this particular jacket. Yeah. And it reminded me of Han Solo. Uh-huh. If you look at it, it looks like a vest over a white poofy shirt, but in this case, it's a leather one. So he's kind of a scoundrel himself if you think about it. Yeah. And the way he's courting Deborah and everything. And I guess that would be his Princess Leia.
And that jacket's functional too, man. He's all of his iPods and... Yeah. He had a lot. He had an iPod Mini. I laugh so hard with the sunglasses when he's dealing with Griff, Bernthal's character. Mm-hmm. Where he takes one of the pair of sunglasses off and puts them on himself. So he just pulls another one out and puts it back on. He slaps them off of him, and then, as he's walking away, he takes a third pair of sunglasses and puts those on. So funny.
Yeah, the one thing he never had before until Doc gave him, it was the driving gloves. Mm-hmm. You never saw him with driving gloves before. Yeah. Next one?
All right. I'm jumping into the next heist with... when he's on the crew with Bats, No-Nose Eddie, and JD. Okay. And because... the scene itself is great, but I love how it starts off with the comedy of JD just being so oblivious that he bought the Mike Myers, Austin Powers masks.
I love that scene.
Instead of the Michael Myers from Halloween masks, which is what Doc was talking about. Yep. And Baby, having to restart and rewind the music through all this scene to deal with the flub-ups of these guys. Oh, yes. Every time they'd screw something up or be offbeat he's like, God, I gotta rewind. I gotta start this over. I gotta... it's
especially when the guy with the gun with the truck. Yeah. If you think about that, that was something that they did not expect.
Not at all. And so he's having to deal with that.
I feel for that stuntman had to flip that truck and the wheels falling off at that point too.
Yeah. But then story-wise, I really liked that Baby was doing everything he could to get away from that guy, but without hurting him or killing him. Like he's an innocent citizen, and so like he driving up the wall and around to get away from him was a really cool action sequence and effect.
Mm-hmm.
And then jerking the truck out of the way before Bats can shoot the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like all of these things, which then Bats, later on, it's like, you did that on purpose.
He knew.
But then you see, because later on he does the same thing with Deborah, where he stops him and he's like, okay, now I see, like, you have this soft spot and you don't want other people to get hurt. But yeah, I like the way that Baby's able to think in the moment with kind of things like that too.
Yeah, he has a lot of respect for people, so he's showing that he doesn't want anybody dead, because you saw that when he looked over and he saw somebody on the floor, it kind of shocked him. Yeah, and I guess he must have said it to Doc, like, I don't want anybody dying or hurt on these jobs, but he had no say, because literally he owed Doc something. I wonder if he ripped off Doc in some way, with a car, with money. Yeah, well, Doc says, when Doc is talking to, I'm trying to remember, I think it's Bats, but we're basically explaining why he works with Baby. And he was like, he's this good. And the reason is because he jacked my car. He didn't realize what was all in the trunk. I had all of this, hardware or money or whatever it was. He was like, but I let him take it because I was just, admiring how skilled he was. Exactly. But then I tracked him down, and then basically he's like, you're paying me back. Instead of killing you, you're going to, do this work for me. Yeah. And then until you make back the debt that you stole from me. But he finally did. But there's no getting out. Doc's not going to let him go. Yeah. Well, next one for me would be Baby's remix of stuff that he has sampled from recordings from the people that he interacts, especially Doc. I think he did one of Griff and a few other people. There were a lot of mixtapes, too, and I'm curious to listen to all those mixtapes that he had. I know, because there's a lot of them, the one that stands out, obviously, is Mom, because he had something of his mother there. Yeah, but he had named them all with, like, different, like, things that Doc had said about him. And yeah, he had so many. So he's been doing this for a long time. Yeah, that sample card machine I want, because that looked pretty cool to have. Yeah, that's really cool. And very old school kind of. Very old school. Thing. Yeah. I haven't seen one of those in like 20 years. So they still are out there. They're analog based, but they still work. Yeah. Next one? All right. So my next, another kind of little thing is after he thinks he's free, when he thinks he's out, and then Joseph, which is his foster dad he lives with, convinces him to get a job as a pizza delivery guy. I love that. Where he says, wouldn't it be nice to bring joy to people when you drive? And he's kind of like, really, pizza? But then you kind of see, it's a quick little scene. It doesn't last long. But you do see that he's kind of still in his element. He enjoys doing it. And so I just thought it was like a quick little scene, just seeing him like going in, and it's all again set to music, and it's really timed out where he goes in and like gets the job basically, and then like it pans to like across a wall, and then you see him walking out the door in uniform with these boxes of pizza. Yeah, and it just kind of tells the story along the way. But I thought it was really it's funny, but also like Joseph is that like good angel on his shoulder who's not necessarily judging him for all of the things that he's been doing, but telling him, like, you are better than this and you can find a better way. Exactly. And to see him in his own element, though, it's like you could see it, granted. It's like usually, you have those places where it's like you get your pizza within 30 minutes or less. If we go over 30 minutes, you get it for free. Forget it. He's never going to go over 30. He'll go over 60 when he's driving. But, you also see the smile on his face. Joseph's smile and happy to him counting out. Yeah. But you also you tell him you only have to wash your hands once after you get this money. Exactly. But the one thing about it is that Joseph always gave him that ugly look of when he would hide the money underneath the floorboard, and he knew that it was bad money. Yeah. And he was trying to be the helpful parent, trying to, teach him. Be a good parent out there for him and be a good citizen. But he knows that he cares for Joseph. Baby is there and he's always there and he does love him. So it's not like he won't listen to him. Yeah. But the one thing about Baby, you would think he's a kid of the new millennium, you would think PayPal or Venmo from Doc to go to a bank or something.
Yeah, well, I know that they touched on it a little, like, behind the scenes and stuff. I was looking at things where they say that, Baby uses these burner phones, and
Yes.
they're like, yeah, with the times, like, shouldn't he have smartphones? Like, shouldn't he have Spotify to curate his playlists? But basically, they say because of the line of work that he's in and things he does for Doc, that he doesn't carry any of that kind of stuff because those things can be tracked.
Okay.
And so he sticks to analog stuff as much as he can.
And a digital kid in he's an
I say analog, but yeah,
analog
but like,
kid in a digital world, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I almost did it backwards. My dyslexia is pulling out on me. All right.
So I don't know if analog's really the right word, but it's more just the old school stuff, but the stuff that's a little off the grid where you can...
Nostalgic.
you have your burner phones and you keep your iPods and stuff where nothing's connecting to the internet and nobody can track where you're going.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Especially I like it when you see Doc hand him the new one. Yeah, and your burner phone. And here's your new one.
Yeah.
But, all right. That was yours or that was mine?
That was mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, next up for me would be Baby's ability to read lips so well that he knew what all that Doc had to say within his dialogue when he was telling them about the job. And he wouldn't be paying attention, but he's always called out. So, he had to say it verbatim to Eddie No-Nos and Bats because they called him out on it. What did he say? It was like, ba, 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 ba. And it's like, they're like, and? And Doc's...
Any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah. All the way down to the last thing. Yeah, because Bats can't keep his eyes off of Baby that whole time because he's distracted by the fact that while Doc is giving the whole game plan, Baby's sitting over there playing piano with the music that he's got in his ears, and he's
like he's not paying attention,
tapping his fingers to the beat. And he's like, "Well, he didn't get anything," and he's like, "Oh no, I got everything."
Yeah, but within that job, poor JD didn't make it, and Baby had to get rid of that body. That was part of this. After that whole scene, you already talked about it with your favorite on that particular scene, but unfortunately, because like when he dropped his gun, that was the reason why they had to get rid of him.
Yep.
And there was the body. He does see the body inside the back of Doc's car, and he goes, "You got to get rid of that for me now." But within him getting rid of it, I love the song "Easy" by Stevie Wonder as he's walking away from the crusher when it's crushing the body.
Yeah, it's a great moment because you see then that's that moment where he thinks he's done. And he takes those driving gloves that Doc gave him and throws them away. He takes that burner phone and tosses it into another junk car. Like he's like done at that moment.
Yeah.
At least he thinks he is.
He thinks that was his last job. Yeah.
All right, I have a bunch. So I'm like, which ones do I go into next?
I know, you can go anywhere you want.
So the next one is another like little thing that I thought was funny, but with Doc's nephew.
Yeah.
Going along with them to the recon at the Postal Service.
Oh, that kid was funny.
He's hilarious.
He's just paying attention to his game.
Yeah, he's got his, like, whatever, because I don't think the Switch was out at the time, but whatever he was playing on, it might have been
Nintendo.
Yeah, something. And yeah, he's just, like, there, and then, Baby's looking around, trying to not look, trying to look inconspicuous, and then the kid's just like, no, it's this kind of glass, and there's this many cameras, and there's this many people on these many registers, and he's like, thank you. Like, this kid is there, and he's like, how does he know? And it's like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I guess, with Doc.
Yeah.
Because then even, he's like, oh yeah, the bank teller, he was like, you could just say boo, and she'd let you into the vault. You don't even have to use a gun on her. It's like, man, this kid, you were too young to... It was crazy.
That was crazy. All right, so I thought that John Hamm played a really good character within the film. I just enjoyed his character. Buddy was an interesting character, nonetheless. Yeah. He tried to like Baby and get on Baby's side, but towards the end, when that job goes down, and he loses his girlfriend, Darling, and I just like the relationship, but now Buddy's after getting Baby because he's lost his darling at that point. Now he doesn't care to the point of Baby losing Deborah. and that there's that whole standoff in the cafe, and it leads to. But the most part, the biggest part that I loved is the scene during the heist when it goes wrong.
Yeah, and it was Baby deciding he was done. Like,
Yes.
it was... He was seeing the people that were getting hurt and affected by this situation. Bats was crazy. As his name could, you know.
Yes.
And he was like, I'm going to end up dying because of working with this guy. Like, and he's like, I can't do this anymore. I have to make the decision now that I'm done. And that was, he takes Bats out this crazy way, but it blows the whole operation, obviously. Yes. Which then, ends up getting Darling killed. And so that's where Buddy is like, taking vengeance on Baby at that point. Yeah,
how he sees I think it was the teller that comes out, and she's waving hi, and next thing you know, he's like,
he's giving her that nod, that shake, and that look like, don't go in there.
Don't go in there.
Turn around and go away.
Then she realizes it, and then gets the guard to come out. They're ready to, and that's when everything really starts to go bad. And the best part during the chase scene is when he loses the car. He ditches the car, and then he's on foot. He's running. Yeah. So we get a chase scene on foot, and I think it's amazing how with the music and how it's working.
Yeah, the studio wanted to cut that too,
would have been
time
stupid.
And price and stuff like that. It was mainly the price to shoot the on foot scene. So Edgar Wright himself took money out of his payment as director to make sure that scene was done.
I'm glad he did.
Yeah, because it's great. And one thing that I noticed about that is right before he takes off on foot, Buddy shoots his iPod.
Yes.
And the music, the soundtrack immediately cuts out, and you just hear that tinnitus ringing.
Yep.
As he's running. I love the little details like that.
Yep. And then, we lose Darling in the process, obviously, throughout the chase. But they do meet up again. Like, before she passes away, before she gets shot, they meet up again because he just got another car. And then he collides into them. And you can see it on Buddy's face. Of all the things you...
you ruin everything. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I just love Ham's character in the movie. I just love his representation. Especially when he was trying to get along with Baby, and he was like, "What are you listening? What song? Oh, Sheer Heart Attack. That was a good album. What are you listening to? Let me listen." Grabs the earbud, and they're listening to it, and you could see it was it Bats or is it? I forget. Was it Bernthal?
It might have been. He comes to Baby's like defense with both of those characters.
Yeah, he does.
When Griff is messing with him, Buddy and Darling are both like, "Leave him alone. He's good at what he does. And, you don't need to be a dick to him. Like, there's no reason." And then with Bats, again, and then Bats later is doing that same thing. It's like, he should be focused. He should be this. And it's like,
no, you should be
yeah, like, you're the one that's unhinged and just killing people on a whim just because you want to.
Like DB.
We don't see him kill the gas station clerk, but I'm pretty sure that's what he did.
Yes.
And then... the whole tequila scene, which I love. I'm kind of jumping back on stuff, but
that's fine.
He just kills these guys because they're cops. And so he just jumps to a conclusion and kills them. And then Doc later reveals, like, yeah, they were. And they're on my payroll. They were my cops.
They were his cops, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. Oh, that was a good cameo in that. I forgot who it was. Very legendary singer from the 70s. I forgot his name. I should look that up.
I remember. But that scene might be my favorite, use of the note by note in sync with the music, with the gunfire that, dun 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 dun, tequila.
Yeah.
With just all the gunfire and stuff. Like, yeah, the movements, everything is perfectly timed all the way up to, that final explosion.
Yeah.
But yeah, he unplugs the grenade. It's like, da 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 da, pull the pin, da 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 da, through the window, da 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 da, boom, and then just Bats follows up with tequila, and it's just this like, it's so cool. It's just creative. Like, I can just like nerd out about it because it's like, man, the thought that goes into something like that.
Yeah, Well, the person I was thinking of was legendary musician Paul Williams. And he's been, ever since the 70s, he's like shown his face in like TV shows like Fantasy Island, The Hardy Boys, a whole bunch of Fantasy Island, Love Boat, all those. It was like a common thing throughout the 70s and early 80s. So he was always a guest on everything. And he's done a few movies here and there too. But I just, when I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, I know that guy from something. So yeah, that was a good flashback to that. And he always plays those kind of squirmy, quirky little guys. Because he's very short. He's like 4 foot and change. But yeah, I enjoyed that scene too. It was literally, Baby almost got killed during that scene, if you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that was more of the physical action rather than the car chasing action that we get throughout the film.
Yeah. Those scenes like that are just so cool. And then it really shows Bats. It starts setting him up as just this loose cannon who you can't trust.
Yeah, that was the very loose cannon, whereas Griff, yeah, he was more of like the bully.
Yeah, which you didn't see much of him. I kind of wonder, humble brag, name drop, whatever, because I've done a panel with John Bernthal before and moderated and talked to him, but I didn't think about this at the time. So if I ever get the opportunity to talk to him again, I would like to talk a little bit of Baby Driver, because even though he's only in this movie pretty briefly, just the one high scene and then the follow-up after with the coffee and everything, the last line that he has when he's leaving the elevators, if you don't see me again, I'm dead. And he walks off, and then you never see him again in the movie. So it's like, so Griff's dead, right?
yeah. I think we got our answer there. He's like Shane. He can't come back. Or he just went out to be the Punisher.
Right.
All right. That's about it for me. If you want to finish up with a couple of more you have. I know you got a ton.
Yeah, really. I have two more that are big, and we leaned up to it. So it kind of goes in when you were talking about Buddy. And so there's kind of the big epic showdown in the parking garage with Buddy in the police car.
Yeah.
We get those dirty cops. There were some of them that survived the tequila showdown, if I would call it that. And so they return to enact their revenge on Doc. And then Buddy also shows up in the police car to have his revenge on Baby, which then Doc ends up dying pretty unceremoniously, getting hit by the car and then backed back over with it.
Yep.
And he's done. But Baby's able to get his keys to Doc's car and try to take out on that. And then, it's this whole sequence with driving backwards up the parking garage structure and ramming into each other and outsmart. Baby's just managing to outsmart Buddy at every different turn. And it's great. Other than that last kind of moment where Buddy pretends, he slips out of the car as the car falls and then corners Baby there. But then instead of killing him, he takes his hearing, at least damages it further for a little bit.
Yeah.
And threatens to take out Deborah. But they get the upper hand still again. Deborah's a little bit feistier and stronger than you think she would be.
Exactly.
And it's, Baby's able to get a shot off into Buddy's knee, which then makes him unstable, and he falls back down on top of the car, then goes boom, and
boom.
It's beautiful.
He go boom.
Yeah, and then the last one I had is I like that even, as much as we are following Baby, and we get all these great character witnesses through the court case and all of these things, I like the realism that he still has to serve prison time for what he did, for doing his jobs for Doc. Like, he still was the getaway driver for bank robbers and heists that people died in.
Yes.
But because, of all of these great character witnesses and stuff, it seems to me they don't, explicitly say it, but he got his parole after those 5 years, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so it's cool then that he gets, the flashback of him thinking about Deborah in this black and white scene is now kind of the reality as he's leaving the prison and she's standing out there with the car waiting on him. And there's this big rainbow behind him as he walks to the car, and it's all set to Baby Driver by Simon and Garfunkel. It's just, I love the way that ends the movie perfectly.
Yeah, I like the ending. Especially the realism, like you said, with him serving his time. You have to pay your debt. Yes, it's not like you're gonna ride off in the sunset with Deborah and get away with it and with whatever you had left over. I'm really
glad it kind of seems that way.
That.
Yeah, he wakes up in the car and she's driving and she's like, we're going away like we always planned. And then they get on that bridge and then they're blocked off by the police.
Yep.
They come to arrest him.
Yeah, reality sets in.
Yeah.
One good scene that I'll leave it off at is when he's stealing the older black lady's Cadillac and he uses a gun, but he didn't want it. He didn't really want to use a gun, but he does get her out, but he does come back, hands her purse, and then skids off.
He skids it around, and he throws the purse to her.
Yeah.
And she comes back. She's one of those character witnesses in the court case that says, he gave me my purse back, and he said, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. And it shows the type of person he is. And I really enjoyed that.
Definitely.
All right. Well, that's our favorite moments within Baby Driver 2017 so far, but now we're going to go...
Without giving you the answer of just the whole movie, beginning to end.
The whole movie, yeah, just about beginning to end. We could have just told you, hey, go watch it. It was a great movie.
That's my favorite scene is the movie.
And that's what Jamie was trying to say. Well, the whole movie. I was like, well, we got to go a little bit more into that.
I listened to that yesterday, the Goonies one, and she said the same thing. I was like, I don't want to copy Jamie, but no, with that joke. But she's like, the whole movie's my favorite.
There you go. Everybody has one of those. It's like, no, that's it. And for me, that for a car chasing scene, for me, that movie would be Vanishing Point. And that was an amazing movie for its time in the early 70s. Or late 70s. Actually, late 70s. But I just love the car. I love the chases within it and the story and how it moves along. Very similar to this, but in this case, there's more structure to it based on individual characters. With that one, you only got one particular character and all the people he interacts with along the lines, and you got a cool DJ. And that's about it. Yeah, nice. If you guys are interested in something that's 70s based, that's car driving, do that. That's just my little tip, but...
Yeah. I'll throw mine out. I guess just randomly. Talking about, like favorite movies. Yeah. Those, again, who know me know. I mean, with Edgar Wright, it's still another Edgar Wright thing. But my absolute favorite movie is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Also, Edgar Wright, very music-based.
Yes.
Timing, things like that as well. And it's Edgar Wright. It's a similar situation.
Yeah.
And, which I've covered that one on Panels to Pixels.
Yeah, we covered that.
I think me, Ben, and Steve talked that one.
That was you guys doing it in a trio covering that movie. I really enjoyed listening to that and editing. I wasn't on it, but I did enjoy it. But that's one of my favorite comic book movies too.
Yeah,
that are out there. A lot of people don't realize it is, even though it's got like game-based stuff in it.
Oh yeah, it's a perfect mix of music, video games, like tropes of like
culture,
different like love stories, pop culture, things like that. It was I love it.
All right, if you guys didn't realize, he loves Edgar Wright, so
very much so.
But well, to move right along, we're just going to go into interesting facts and unknown facts about the movie Baby Driver. So I'll start it off, and I mentioned it in the very beginning. So number one is John Spencer Blues Explosion cassette tape Wright owned was a dubbed copy. So he no longer thinks of it as stealing from the artist, as this film has undoubted raised the profile of that band and paid off their song in hearty royalties. And he's quoted as saying, "My apologies to John Spencer Blues Explosion. I hope now I've made it up to them."
That's funny. All right. We going back and forth on this?
Yes.
You want me to... You can take this out. Do you want me to read the ones that you have on here too? Or then I've got some of my own?
Yeah, you can do that.
All right. You want me to go with my own first? And then fall in with what's left?
Sure.
Go back and forth on yours?
Yeah.
All right. So the inspiration for Baby Driver came to Wright a decade ago when Wright directed a music video for the band Mint Royale and their song Blue Song. which the video for that song was directed by Edgar Wright after his cult sitcom Spaced came to an end, and before he did Shaun of the Dead in 2004. And the music video starred British comedian Noel Fielding. And Noel Fielding is actually seen, like that music video is briefly seen on Joseph's TV when Baby's flipping from the interview with the guy in the blue truck in the hospital. So,
cool. So I'll do the number 2 or 3 at this point.
You can take 2. You'll just go down your list, and then
okay,
I'll fall in once my 3 are done.
Okay. Next up, well, Wright's Baby Driver pitch included a Shaun of the Dead scene as an example. He explained, when people didn't really understand what it was, I said, like the scene in Shaun of the Dead when they're fighting zombies to Queen? A whole movie like that.
Yeah.
Literally.
Love that. So, my next one here is the Mike Myers masks actually were supposed to be masks of Michael Myers from the Halloween series.
I believe it.
But the producers were unable to obtain legal permission to use those. So Edgar Wright then reached out to the comedian Mike Myers about using masks of his likeness of Austin Powers. And then he thought that Mike Myers, the actor, then thought that the scene was really funny, and he gave his blessing to use his Austin Powers masks. Which is kind of ironic there, because the original Michael Myers masks from Halloween were also masks that were obtained without getting proper permission.
Exactly.
John Carpenter bought a William Shatner Captain Kirk mask from a Halloween store and painted it to give it that creepy look.
Yep.
So
he painted
there's layers there.
There is layers. There is layers. All right. Next up. All the songs were written into the script, and yes, Wright likes all of them. So Wright answered, we cleared them all before we started shooting and played them all on set. People say, do you like all the songs in the movie? If you're going to live with this movie for 20 years, even just making this movie for 3 years solidly and editing it, they better be songs you like. There was one song that was in the script, we shot the scene, and then during the editing process, I started getting sick of the song. On one of the days of the reshoots, I reshot part of the scene to get rid of the song. I'm not going to say what song. I may use it again sometime. I'd say 90% of the songs I wrote into the first script are in the finished movie.
That's cool.
That is cool.
And then the last one I've got... This is it's just a quick one, but all of the driving scenes in the movie were accomplished without the aid of visual effects or CGI. Everything is done practically with stunt drivers, which I thought was really cool.
I love practical stunts. I really don't like the idea of CG, especially when it comes to a car. And that's the reason why I love Death Proof.
Yeah.
Because for the longest time, that was one of the movies that I enjoyed that was real live action car chase stunts. Now, mind you, Fast and the Furious does the same thing. But as the years have gone, as funny and campy as it gets with certain scenes that are unrealistic that they do within the movie, I think Death Proof holds it as being one of where it was entirely done real time, like this particular movie. There are a couple of other movies that came out recently I'm probably not mentioning, that I'm forgetting, that I've seen recently too. There was one with Ryan Reynolds in it that came out about a year and a half ago that went straight to Netflix. I forget the name of it. It had to do with something that was pretty much adrenaline based. So but that there's a scene in that particular movie where it was Dave Franco was driving and he was the driver. And, the scene was amazing. It was done in Europe, and I saw a whole thing about it. But to continue on, I prefer real stunt work in a vehicle.
Absolutely.
You have to have it.
I know, even seeing that, like scenes where you see Baby behind the wheel. Ansel Elgort himself was driving those cars with cameras on it. Like, he got a lot of training, like, on close tracks and stuff beforehand to really get good at swerving these cars around. So he did a lot of driving too, which is really cool.
That is cool. I would love to be the one person in there to do that. Very similar to like Keanu Reeves, if you think about it, when we were talking about John Wick, because he was doing those stunts as well.
Yeah.
All right. Next one that you have?
That is my last one that I had on there, so I can jump over to these ones, but I think it's your turn.
Okay. Well, next one would be gaining music clearances occasionally proved difficult. Right? Elucidated. Sometimes the tracks were unclearable because they had samples that weren't cleared. I cleared the original track instead. I went back to the source. If anybody uses that great site, Who Sampled, but it's an amazing resource. Some things like the Alexis Corner Jazz track was because I knew another track that had sampled it, and we went back to the source and used that instead.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like the fight that we had on trivia one night about a song that
I remember that.
Ben was challenging Daphne on. It was supposed to be Men in Black, but it was another song.
But it was like you're using like 8-bit music.
No, it wasn't.
And then you had to guess what the 8-bit was. Or
oh, yes, it was the 8-bit music night trivia. And he
so
said
she used like the Men in Black theme, but he was like, but that was sampled from this, so then that original thing should be a correct answer too.
Yeah. I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, very much similar to that. So a lot of people get nabbed for that. So think about it. Vanilla Ice years ago, and this is a little bit of music history and buffing from me because when that was happening, I was in trade school for audio engineering, and Vanilla Ice got slammed by Queen for Under Pressure, his sample, but he just is like, oh, it's the extra note. Din, 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 din. No, it's not that. You stole it. You didn't get permission. But sampled music is very hard to work with. I know a lot of rappers who I worked with back in the day when I worked in a recording studio, and they legitimately had to have the music company that represents them go there and look and get approval. If not, they had to release, or they had to share royalties within, and usually the original artist gains more money from the royalty than they do. All they get is publication. And sometimes, usually, there is publication money that comes into play too for negotiation based on how popular that song, how popular the artist is that they sampled from. Now, that's a little bit of music history and, and stuff. But next up.
All right, this next one is clearing tracks took 18 months prior to shooting. There's a quote. It says, if you do something that's mentioned in the film, you can't sort that out afterwards. We had done that kind of thing before, but never at this kind of scale of this many songs. It was partly because we were working with an amazing clearance person, Kirsten Lane, who worked tirelessly probably for about 18 months before we even started shooting, starting with Simon and Garfunkel.
Awesome. Well, they had to, because Baby Driver is the name of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's the song that is most important to getting for this one, yeah.
I would say so. Next one up, American Werewolf in London and American Graffiti served as an inspiration for how music is used in Wright's films. He said, when I saw it as a kid, it really knocked my socks off. Probably was American Werewolf in London. The use of pop music in that one was just extraordinary. It's very clear vision in terms of, like, John Landis has obviously picked those tracks. American Graffiti is another one. I really can't think of another movie that's completely diegetic. Baby Driver is all diegetic in terms of every song and is happening within the scene. American Graffiti is like that. Every single song is happening on a radio, in a diner, at the prom, existing in the scene. The other two obvious ones are Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas and especially, Reservoir Dogs by Quentin Tarantino. Which I will agree with, because Quentin is very much influential with music within film. Lucas did that with American Graffiti, and I love American Graffiti for that purpose, too, for the fact that, I love that movie, because it's pretty much like a coming-of-age movie, and they've done several. Dazed and Confused is another one, and that's another movie that's shadowed and clouded with all music throughout the whole movie. The cars, every time they're on a chase or they're all hanging out, it's just spotlighting the music of that time. And I just like the 50s and the 70s kind of music. I love the 60s, too. Just a mix of that. And I love how they do that. Clerks tried to do that, so Kevin can only get so much from out of the movie business. But I enjoyed that aspect as well. Music and movies, actually, I love listening, and I usually go out and get soundtracks.
Nice. I love that Goodfellas gets a shout out here because that has to be the basis for the pizza place being Goodfellas Pizza and Wings.
I think so.
All right, the next one here is when Wright was pitching Baby Driver, he didn't classify it as a musical. He elaborated, when people hear musical, they think Les Miserables or Mamma Mia, and well, it's not that. So I would say it's an action film driven by music, which I think is an apt description.
Driven, quote out. Quote, quote. Next up, Jamie Foxx thinks his friend Barbara Streisand is a gangster. All right, so in the film, Fox ribs Baby and Buddy about listening to Queen, misunderstanding what they're listening to. He defensively responds with mention to Streisand. The irony is that Jamie is friends with Barbara Streisand. He's done a duet with her. I never really asked him about that until we were shooting the scene. In between takes, I said to Jamie, what do you think Barbara will make of the scene? And Jamie responds, do you know Barbara? And Wright was like, I said, no. I said, no. And he says, Barbara's gangsta. I have no idea if she's been seen, but I hope she enjoyed it.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
The next one, in order to make sure pacing was correct with the timing of the songs, Wright and an editor cut the first read-through to music. He mentioned that me and my editor cut the read-through to the music, so when I had this audio file that was 100 minutes long, it was like listening to a radio play where you can see where the scene was too long for the song or whether it worked. It was a way to work out the overall flow. We got maximum bang for our buck with the action in the cars. We were never shooting more than we needed.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that had to be quite a chore, though. I'm thinking, because you have to make sure that the driving scenes are all, like those action sequences,
coordinated.
Are all coordinated with the length of the song, which is funny that they needed a little bit extra time. That's where you have those scenes where Baby's starting the song over, rewinding it a little bit because you need a little bit of extra time.
That is true. Integrating the dams neat up the degree of difficulty. So Wright further went on, the only time that failed, and Bill Pope, my cinematographer, was the only person to point this out, is a song by The Dam that plays in the Mike Myers heist.
Oh, I was just mentioning. Yeah, that's what I just joked about, is where this is going.
And that song is like 2.5 minutes. It was all cut together with the storyboards, and Bill said, this scene is too long for the song. The stunts will take longer to resolve. They're going to look good. You're going to run out of song. He was absolutely right. We had shot most of the scene, and the song runs out way before it was finished. So then on the last day of the shoot, I shot this new shot of Ansel rewinding the song. So he gets into a new car and has to carjack the next car and rewinds the song to the last verse or chorus and then starts it again. That made perfect sense because the character has been derailed. His choreography has gone all out of whack. The solution to it is just something that just crystallizes the character. And nice. I do agree. It was perfect, and it was perfect editing, writing for that particular scene because it makes sense to the character. Because he had to rewind it because he's not set for what he has to do within the car.
All right, the next one. There are more music-minded cameos in this movie than you think, like John Spencer, Big Boy, and Killer Mike, which I love. Those two guys were, with Kevin Spacey in the restaurant. Those are who he's talking to whenever he pays for their meal. Mm-hmm. Big Boy, of course, one of the two members of Outkast, and Killer Mike being one of the two in Run the Jewels, which I like both very much.
Cool.
It goes on here that not only are the featured players all people who are musically inclined or who currently have music careers, but a handful of blink and you miss them cameos for musicians also happen. It was definitely something that I had in the back of my mind, Edgar Wright says, is all these people play instruments, sing, have done choreography. Action choreography is so similar to dance choreography in terms of the way it's metered out. I think that was really helpful. He later went on to say, I always thought it was an interesting thing to pepper a cast who are not actors first and foremost. It's just a fun thing that adds to it. John Spencer, who plays the prison guard in the final scene, means that John Spencer basically gets the first and last on-screen dialogue. He's the first and last diegetic voice.
Awesome. if you're looking for a narrative explanation of why Doc is dining with Big Boy and Killer Mike, you best look elsewhere. Said right. I just know Doc connected. I'm not sure that Big Boy and Killer Mike are playing themselves, but they could be. I wanted to do more, actually. Spacey added, didn't we have the conversation that Doc's other world is in the jazz world? Right, remembered? I do think he has another legitimate job, like the bank robbery organization is something he used to do, but has gone away from. But he still dips his fingers in. Doc's never staying. He never takes his coat off, ever. Body language is he's not fraternizing with these people. Basically, he's just hanging out.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that thought. It's like, are they just like two other random people in whatever world? Or, yeah, is Doc hanging out with Big Boy from Outcast and Killer Mike from Run the Jewels in this restaurant?
You never know.
Atlanta. Could be.
It's your choice, your thought.
Yep. All right, this next one. Actors were given earwigs to hear their music cues. Spacey said that it was fine until it came time to shoot action scenes involving guns. You not only had an earwig, but you also had an earplug so you don't go deaf. Wright said blank firing guns are louder than anything, so in those sequences people are taught them by beats. This is your bit. It was a very strange thing.
Well, choreographer Ryan Hevington hated the sound of gunfire, and I don't blame him. Wright, who was watching a few of the disc's special features with us, said after one ended on Heffington expressing his displeasure at the gunfire sounds on set. I didn't know that until I watched that. He's a total pro. He never said anything on the day.
That's awesome.
Well, I understand.
And, well, the last one here. Second unit director Darren Prescott had worked with cinematographer Bill Pope on The Matrix. Edgar Wright said he was one of the Agent Smith doubles on The Matrix. So when Bill Pope came into the room, he went, Agent Smith.
All right. Well, that was our interesting and unknown facts about the movie Baby Driver. And it's always enlightening because a lot of the stuff I put in, I don't read ahead of time. I do the Mark Bernardin thing like he does for Fat Man Beyond, just copy and paste. I don't get
it works.
I get surprised when we read them, and Pig brought in his own too, so I thought that was pretty cool. And I never heard of that stuff either. So now on to quotes of the movie Baby Driver. So you probably have a few.
I have a handful.
There you go. Want to start us off with your first one?
Yeah. The first one, I just thought it was funny, even though it ends up not even being true and not being part of the character, because Buddy himself didn't actually know until later. But I like just Buddy's offhand comment when he's talking to Griff. He says, you know why they call him Baby, right? Still waiting on his first words.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Well, first one would be from Doc for me, and Doc saying, retarded means he's slow. Is he slow? Then he doesn't sound retarded to me, you know? That's after Griff asked him if he's retarded.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't drive slow either. I think he mentions that as well. I might have gotten that screwed up.
Yeah, and that's what it records that little sound bit and makes that song out of that one, too.
Yeah.
Was he slow?
Was he slow? Was he slow?
All right, my next one is while he's with Deborah in the diner the first time he meets her. I was talking with her, and she asks, so, what is it you do? He responds, I'm a driver. She goes, oh, like a chauffeur. You drive people around. You drive around important people. He goes, I guess I do. She asks, anyone I'd know? And he responds with, I hope not.
Next one I have, well, you've already mentioned it, but I just love it. Griff saying, all right, folks, if you don't see me, it means I'm dead.
Yeah. All right, the next one. I mentioned, his pizza delivery scenes. And it's just another like little throwaway thing, but I think it's funny, is when he delivers the pizza to the frat house, and the guy answering the door goes, whoa, that was fast. And Baby just looks at him with this like smirk. He goes, I know.
Yeah, I know. You can see it in his face, like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, this comes from Jamie Foxx. Actually, it wasn't Griff that said that. All right, folks.
Yeah, this was Bats that said that.
All right. Bats said that. So I got this right. Well, Griff says to him in the car, just after the whole thing with DB and everything else, he goes, "You're a good driver, but a bad liar. And once you get some feelings, you get a bullet."
Mm-hmm.
So actually, that did come true. If you think about it, they were coming after him.
Yeah.
He got feelings.
Mm-hmm. All right, another one.
Mm-hmm.
I like some of these like little throwaway like one lines, but it's great. Bats says about Baby whenever they're meeting with the cops with all of the guns and everything, and they ask what's with the earbuds. Is he recording anything? And he goes, "Oh no, those are just his earbuds. He's loony, just like his tunes."
All right, so the next one is pretty much a conversation between Baby and Doc. And Baby says, "One more job and I'm done." Doc says, "One more job and we're straight." Now, I don't think I need to give you the speech about what happens if you say no. How I could break your legs and kill everyone you love because you already know that. Don't you, Baby? Baby says, "Yeah."
Mm-hmm.
That was very intense, that particular scene.
Definitely. And then this one, quick one. After Baby shoots Buddy in the diner and gets away, and the cop is coming to check on Buddy, he says, "You on the ground, are you okay? Can you show me where you've been shot?" To where Buddy rolls over with his gun and goes, "Yeah," shoots him, goes right there.
Yeah. Last one for me would be from Doc again. And he says, "Well, he had an accident when he was a kid. Still has hum in the drum. And he plays music to drown it out. And that's what makes him the best."
Mm-hmm. And this is actually my last one, too. So we timed out perfect here.
Yeah.
Last one is after they escape the diner and they need to kind of hijack a car to get away. And they see these two dudes vaping and listening to music in the cars. They go up and he, tries to, he's going to carjack them. And the guy goes, "You ever shot a gun before, homie?" To where Baby says, "I just did." And Deborah backs him up with literally 5 minutes ago.
Wow. All right. Well, that comes to an end of our quote fest. And on to, we'll move right along into our ratings of this movie. So we rate these movies between 1 and 10 on an adrenaline scale, with this being a car chase action-packed movie. So what's your rating, Pake? I know it's going to be high because it's one of the movies that you love.
I mean, it's hard for me not just go a 10 across the board, done. Now, but I'd be realistic.
You could go to 11, but you just have to go Spinal Tap.
Nice. No, but I think where I'm going to land on it is a 9.4. It is up there for sure. It's one of my absolute favorites. And yeah.
Awesome.
Got to give it high praise.
Yeah, I have to give it high praise too, but mine's a little bit lower, but it's not a bad rating. It's 8.5 out of 10 because there's a bunch of other movies that I love that are car-based chase and that I love. And a lot of them are classics. Unfortunately, this is more recent, so obviously I have to go to my classics that I love since I was a kid. But, as far as a driving movie, a fast car driving movie or a chasing movie and the action within it, overall as a story, I just love the music within the film within it that added so much context and just, and such flavor to it. And, just obviously the action with the vehicles. That's what really puts it at that. But, give me more music, like shoot 'em up. I'll do the same thing. That's another movie that's music based too, but that's just pure action with Clive Owen, which you guys are actually covering Lacey's story on Strange Indeed right now, he's in.
Which is Clive Owen. Yep, Clive Owen and Julianne Moore.
Yep.
On Apple TV. There's an early plug for Strange Indeed. We'll get into more, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that more a little later. But moving right along, we'll move right into our guilty pleasure movies, and those are any movies. It doesn't have to be just action. It could be any movie that might not be popular in the world or just got a Rotten Tomato score that's all the way down below, or a group of friends of yours don't like that particular movie, but you're the one that loves it, and it's just your love, but it's your guilty pleasure because you'll just watch it anytime anyway, regardless.
Yeah.
So what do you got?
Mine, and I did stay kind of in the action realm with this one, but my pick is 2011's Sucker Punch.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's
a lot of
Zack
people don't
Snyder
like
film.
it, but
yeah, it's a lot of people really hated that. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's campy and it's goofy and it's way over the top, but I kind of like that about it. So those who don't know, yeah, it's a Zack Snyder film, 2011. It's about like an abused girl who's in an institution, and she's envisioning these elaborate and fantastical places and scenarios as she's plotting her escape. And so you get like, yeah, all these like war-torn kind of stuff and piratey and fantasy. And there's just all these different kind of worlds she takes herself and these other inmates to. And yeah, it's so over the top and wild, but it's visually stunning and really creative. And also John Hamm is in that one as well.
Oh,
so
yeah, I forgot the lead actress in that. I forgot her name.
Oh man, I should know it off the top of my head, but I don't.
Yeah, she was one of the main characters in American Gods as well.
Yes.
But yeah, I highly recommend it. That's based off a comic, I believe, too. And they I just like the aspect within the movie because you don't know which world is the real world while you're watching the movie. You don't know if the action-based one, the fantasy one that she's living in, is the real world or the institution. And it's kind of like it really is mind-boggling to me because you really want to know which one is the real one. But I just like it for both aspects because both are kind of wacky.
For sure. IMDb is force closing on my phone for some reason.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Emily Browning. I look it up on here.
Oh.
Yeah. Emily Browning is her name.
Cool. Well, with me, mine will be Gone in 60 Seconds from 2000. And that's with Nicolas Cage, Angelina Jolie, and a whole bunch of other people. I forget the kid that was in it, but yeah, it's an all-star cast, actually, within that movie, if you think about it. A slew of many actors that we all know, and they're just eluding my brain at the moment. But a lot of people, other than the people that Pake and I know, really don't like this movie. I love the original movie, but a lot of people go to that one saying, oh no, you can't do that, you spoil it, you sour the original movie. Kind of like people who are, the original Dawn of the Dead purists. And I do love that particular movie, and I got into a conversation with a bunch of people recently over the weekend about this, because I do like them both individually. I do love them individually. The original
love the remake, Zack Snyder again.
It's a Zack Snyder movie, yeah. And we got into a conversation about this too on that, and I'll get into it a little later, but both Dawn of the Dead still hold dear to me. And same thing with the original. The original is dated, yes, because it's so old.
Yeah.
But I still love the Gone in 60 Seconds with Nick Cage in it. Because that had music in it as well, if you remember. So, them jamming to Lowrider before their heist, and then y'all, what was the song? Was it a 50 Cent song? Y'all gonna make me lose my mind.
That's DMX.
DMX, there you go. I don't know my rappers too well. But that scene with the snake in the truck and they're hijacking it out of the car garage, and it was funny.
Yep.
But yeah, I just really like that. And I believe Ben is another one that loves that particular movie too. I think we talked about that recently because when we covered, he just mentioned Willy's Wonderland. But we didn't cover Willy's Wonderland, but I would love to do that one. That's another.
I still haven't seen that one yet. I need to.
It's highly recommended. But we digressed a bit on this. But with that, we'll move right along. We got some feedback this week.
Awesome.
So now to Steve's audio feedback about Baby Driver. Now, mind you, I have not listened to this yet, ladies and gentlemen, so got to listen to it together.
Hey, Mark and Pake, this is for Baby Driver. I'm not going to try to live Steve it because I've seen it so many times that it's tough to live Steve something that I've seen a bunch. So just going to shout out a couple quick things that I love about the movie. I do love the soundtrack is great. I've got the soundtrack. It's marvelous. And the portrayal, I can't remember the actor's name, plays the lead guy, Baby, is outstanding as well. Love the car stunts. I'm pretty sure they used more practical than like CGI. I'm sure there was still some CGI. But y'all are better at spotting that stuff than I am. And just overall, really good movie. And I don't cancel it out because of Kevin Spacey's involvement. You know, there's a bunch of actors that were involved in this movie and creators that put this movie together and did a marvelous thing. And just because one guy is a jerk, we're going to stop watching it. I don't understand that. But I'm glad you guys are covering it, and I can't wait to hear you guys talk about it. And the only thing that's unbelievable is his prison sentence at the end. But, okay, he was basically a good guy. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Awesome.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, I love you mentioned, you listened to the soundtrack and stuff, and it reminded me, I was like, I do have that on vinyl in my collection. I have the soundtrack on vinyl.
That's cool.
So good. Yeah,
and I have to agree with
I paid a pretty penny for it, too, because it was one of those I couldn't find anywhere, and so I found somebody else who had it, who was willing to part with it.
Oh, that's cool.
And paid them pretty good to have it. I was like, yeah.
Oh, wow. I have to agree with Steve, though. Just because you got one bad apple, and he's done a lot of great movies, doesn't mean you don't have to stop loving those movies.
Yeah.
So, regardless of what your feelings are about Kevin Spacey, just because he might be, in your mind, a terrible person, who knows what your thoughts are. Mine, do I agree? No. But do I like the work that he did before, up until, recent events?
It's not going to ruin this movie.
It's not going to ruin the movie for you, and, unless you really just loathe and just don't like that person. Just don't let it get to you. Art is art. Real life is real life. So that's how I treat it. But with that, and that's just my thoughts on that. We'll move forward into that. There was no Facebook comments or anything this week, so I highly recommend you guys do that, or just email them out like Steve did with his audio feedback. So we're just going to move right along into where listeners can hear us. So, Pake, take it away. You got a lot.
All right. Yeah, we kind of hinted at and teased a little bit, throughout the episode. But yeah, you can find me on my two podcasts that I'm on. I am on Run for Your Lives right here on the Pirate Core Entertainment Network. And that is me and Daphne. So we talk all things monster movies, creature features, disaster flicks. And this week, as of when we're recording this, let's see, the next episode that we have coming up is 1963's The Birds, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. We are taking it way back. And so that one's coming out this week, and I'm super excited for that one to come out. I had a lot of fun talking about that. And so, yeah, check that out. And then on the Podcastica Network, I am on Strange Indeed with Rima. And like Mark mentioned earlier, yes, right now we are covering the Apple TV original series, Lacey's Story, which is a book written by Stephen King. And this is the first show, like TV adaptation of a Stephen King work, that Stephen King himself is doing all the writing of the episodes and is running the show. Like, he never does that. He likes to just hand off his works to other people. He doesn't like involvement in TV, but this one is his self-proclaimed favorite book of his.
Yes.
And it means a lot to him. It's very personal, and so he wanted hands-on writing the episodes really to be involved. And so far, I'm absolutely loving it, and I think it's really good. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, I've been enjoying that show, too.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to the podcast, too.
Thank you.
So with that, well, where can I be found? I kind of mentioned it earlier. As you heard, Steve Brown, that was his audio feedback. He's my co-host on other podcasts I do, Panels to Pixels, which could be found on the Next Level Network. So there we cover anything that's adapted from comic to TV, film, anime, anything of that nature. And currently we're on Loki. We had to combine episodes 2 and 3 to one episode, so you'll be hearing that probably before this, or maybe after this. I'm not sure exactly how the editing's going to go, but I have to do 2 episodes in a row, or back to back.
Thanks for reminding me. I need to watch episode 3 today.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably what I'm going to do next when we're done here.
Same here. So I have to do my homework. But you could check me out on the Next Level Network on Panels to Pixels. You could hear my episode on Wilhelm on the Next Level Network as well with Ben Beck. And we talk about... I'm forgetting. Oh my goodness.
What was the Wilhelm? You did the John Cusack one, didn't you?
Yes. Thank you for correcting me. I had a
Mhm.
brain fart. That's
Yeah.
what it is. That happens, and I'm leaving that in. But yes, yeah, we did John Cusack. Oh my God. It's been a long day from everything, but maybe the heat's getting to me. Need more water. But regardless.
Always good to drink water. Drink your water, kids.
Drink your water. Drink your Ovaltine. Oh, no, we're going on a tangent now if we did that. But yeah, you could hear me on the Wilhelm on the Next Level Network. So that episode's out. We talk everything John Cusack. We had a great time talking about it. I just love, podcasting with Ben on so many varieties. Actually, we'll probably bring back more Nick Cage movies as we usually do. I think he has another one lined up that I put in the list, but it's just a matter of coordinating.
Your go-to Cage guy.
Yeah, go-to Cage guy. It's the perfect thing. So we'll just move on and to let you guys know how to submit your feedback, very similar to the way that Steve Brown did. So to submit your feedback, every week we post a link of the movie that or an image of what we're going to be covering that week of the movie that we're covering. So go to our Facebook page, which would be facebook.com/AdrenalineCinemaPodcast. And there you'll see the image. I'll state what we're covering, the year it came out, brief synopsis, and then just tell you, leave your comment in the comment section below and it will be read. And if you cannot do that and you want to just email us any of your feedback, you could just send it to AdrenalineCinemaPodcast@gmail.com. You could also record your voice and send it to AdrenalineCinemaPodcast@gmail.com as well. So that's how we were able to play Steve's feedback, as well as Megan and Lara's last week. So you could tell.
Those were both really great. Lara's always got so many good introspective thoughts, and she's so great. And then, Megan's was just with her son.
And Forrest, yeah.
He loves the bad words.
He loves the bad words. But yeah, we have a good time. We get all our friends involved. Lara's been on once before, and we might have her on for The Witcher when it comes back, when we cover that on Panels to Pixels. So keep in mind and stay in touch for that one. Well, where can we be heard? Well, you could hear us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, TuneIn, Deezer, or whatever podcast player of choice that you use. So if there are ratings there and they're available, please give us one. We would really appreciate that. The best thing you could really do would be tell a friend, because obviously you're listening to us on one of those platforms. If you enjoy the content you're getting here on that podcast, and yes, we're on YouTube. We just started on YouTube, so The Goonies was the first episode to go on YouTube. Everything following now will be on YouTube as well, so you could always recommend that as well. That's another way to listen to podcasts, but word of mouth is the best way to get more people interested in what we do here. So we would really appreciate it if you could just mention it and pass the love along. And to talk more about the Pirate Core Entertainment family, well, if you have a friend or you are a content creator yourself and is interested in being involved with the Pirate Core Entertainment Network, all you have to do is submit a sample of your work to piratecoreentertainment@gmail.com. We're not just looking for podcasters alone. Mind you, that's the majority of our content. Right now you have Run for Your Lives, you had Watched It in the 80s, and you have Adrenaline Cinema. But we also have somebody else who's linked to our network, who did the artwork for our network and for Panels to Pixels, and who I will be hiring out to do the new Adrenaline Cinema podcast artwork when it comes around in October. So that would be Kirk Manley. Kirk Manley has it. So if you go to piratecoreentertainment.com, you could see all the artwork that he's done, and you could see the links. You could always recommend that to your friends as well. But I highly recommend that if you are a content creator or know somebody that is a content creator and wants to be part of it, all you have to do is just email us at piratecoreentertainment@gmail.com, send us a sample, attach it, or a link to your site, and just we'll welcome you with open arms if we're really into what you're doing and we feel that you're going to be part of this family. There is no payment required. This is just going to be a community of people who are content creators. So we just want to bring the love and share the love. The only thing we ask of you as being a content creator, and if you have communication with your fans, just recommend the stuff that you love on the network as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could be a podcast, could be a YouTube, it could be the artist. And we just recommend that you steer them towards PirateCoreEntertainment.com. And then that way it enlightens everybody else as well to the more stuff that we're handing out to you.
Yeah, me and Daphne with Run For Your Lives, we've been here on Pirate Core since the very beginning, and it has always been a breeze and super easy and great to work with you and the other podcasts, just kind of promoting each other back and forth, listening to stuff. And yeah, it's a really cool little community. So definitely you want to, you know, if you have a podcast or other content and you want to have some people that you can kind of bounce stuff off of, or, you know, recommend, you know, their stuff out and have other people kind of promote your stuff as well, Pirate Core is a good place to be.
Exactly. So, well, that was our show. Unless we just want to hang out and talk all night, but we want to watch Loki. But
oh yeah, you do that.
We'll do that. So I just want to thank all you listeners for listening to us, and I want to thank Pake for being on.
Absolutely. I'm glad to finally make it happen.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Pake.
And this was Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, and we'll talk to you guys later.